Welcome, good morning, good day, and blessings to you. So, in regards to announcements, we have a retreat coming up this winter, an in-person retreat. It'll be January 15th through the 18th in Washington State. I'm still working on the details, so stay tuned for that. And then also on my website, you'll see that we'll be at the Shivananda Ashram in the Bahamas, March 29th through April 2nd at the Spiritual Awakening Symposium. So I hope you can join those. And in the meantime, there'll be more stuff happening. Our weekly groups here, our Kundalini group, our Wednesday night meditation, and Sunday night satsang. And I'm in the works for creating the next online retreat in the coming months. Okay. So I'd like to speak today about just how wild and crazy this path of Kundalini awakening can become. And for many of us, we get thrown to the lions right away. And by that, I mean Kundalini, it brings up all kinds of mental and emotional turmoil. And it's important for us not to go crazy, not to get nutty, not to get lost in the chaos of the storms of energy, the storms of healing, the storms of letting go, this getting lost in big, wild, intense, beautiful spiritual experiences, or terrible, dark, scary, frightening spiritual experiences. And I'd like just to frame it all as spiritual experience. And it's all spiritual experience, but often on the path, we are being challenged to stay sane, to stay like in this inherent nobility. And so there'll be things, all kinds of things that are thrown at you. And we have to be able to look at these things and not touch them, not be frightened by them, not give our power away to these psychological forces, these energetic forces, or again, sometimes demonic forces. I don't want anyone to think too much about the demonic forces. Most likely, it's just aspects of our psyche, of our shadow, that have been repressed, that are coming forward. And so always throughout my work week, I meet with a number of individuals who are right on the edge of insanity. And we have to remember our original intention on the spiritual path. So normally something like, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to learn to meditate and to discover this innate peace within me. I'm here to discover my innate beauty, my innate goodness. I'm here to open to a gentle sense of clarity beyond mind and beyond emotion. I'm here to connect to God, to know God. I'm here to know the truth. I'm here because I want to be free. And of course, all of these were my intentions. The number one was, I want to be free. And I liked this intention of, I want to be free, because I knew that freedom meant that I could be peaceful during whatever situation arose within my consciousness. So that created a beautiful model, a beautiful framework, a beautiful map in regards to how I want to be on the path. And so when I was young, I started to spontaneously have these awakening experiences. And right away, my sanity was brought into question. Right away, I discovered, oh my God, my mind is so frightened. I mean, really what I discovered was I was so frightened. I was so scared, because as I opened, the walls started breathing. Everything started to be like fluid and just like moving. And in a sense, from a psychological perspective, someone could say, Craig, you're hallucinating. I would hear voices. I would see little things out of the corner of my eyes. Lights would open up and move and pulsate before me. Sometimes dark entities would come into the room and, create a great sense of fear. I have to reflect back to when I was young and bring up a lot of fear. And, there were parts of me that did not know my strength, did not know about my inner clarity. And as I got lost in the thoughts and the story of what was happening, the story was basically, Craig, you are going crazy. And we've all had this. We've all had this to some degree on this path, where some great force will come in the room, whether a force of beauty or a force of darkness or chaos or confusion. And it will feel as if there's no ground under our feet. It'll feel as if there's no inherent solidity to the mind. And our job is to find out what is the truth. Of course, that's one of the greatest spiritual questions. What is the truth? Now, the mistake almost everyone makes is we use our mind to try to discern the chaos of the mind. We use our mind to discern our emotions and our feelings. And it's very easy for our mind to be convinced of all kinds of things. My mind has been convinced much of my young life up until I was a young adult, that I'm unworthy, I'm not good, nobody likes me, there's no place for me on planet Earth, I will always be broke. Everyone else is bigger and stronger and more wealthy and more successful than I am. These are kind of the thoughts, some of the thought storms that would come to me. And as I began to investigate these thoughts with my own mind and my own unworthy emotional nature, I began to believe them more fully, just coming to the conclusion, yes, I am unworthy. Yes, I am no good. Yes, I am lost. Yes, I am unlovable. In Christianity, we would call these things false gods. That I'd find myself bowing before the false god of fear, the false god of limitation, the false god of, I had fear of success, which is like the most ridiculous type of fear you can have, fear of success, fear of being seen, fear of being heard, fear of not being seen, fear of not being heard. And so sometimes I would just sit at a point of meditation and I would realize I had two opposing fears. And when I saw that, I realized, oh, there's no truth in the mind. I have a fear of being seen and then a fear of not being seen. And I came to recognize that this mind, this emotional nature, is just a play of opposites. It's a play of conditioning. It's a play of reactivity. And as awakening beings on the spiritual path who are committed to the truth, who are committed to freedom, we have to come back to our first noble intention. Like many of us sat down to meditate because our mind was a mess. And correspondingly, our life was a mess. Maybe it was a mess with addiction, there was a mess in finance, there's a mess in unworthiness, there's a mess in fear, it's a mess in, just fighting with the neighbor all the time about, whatever people fight about. And we have to come back to this recognition that what you are is this quiet presence beyond the mind, behind the mind. We are not the mind. As soon as we identify with the mind, we become deluded, we become crazy. And so whether we are having full-blown auditory and visual hallucinations, which happen on the spiritual path, or if we just have run-of-the-mill hallucinations like, I need a smoke, I need a smoke, I need a smoke, like I need a drink, or I need that girl, I need that guy, I need $1 million or whatever it is. I need my neighbor to shut up. I need his dogs to shut up. I need his loud car with a gangster rap to shut up. Whatever it is, I need the world to be different. That's a delusion. Because the world, it's not going to be different. It's not going to dance around for us because we want it to be a different type of way. The truth is, the world is how it is. The world is how it is. And so often on the spiritual path of Kundalini awakening, we need to hold on to this mantra of, I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy. I'm sane. I'm sane. I'm sane. Well, we let these storms wash over us. These storms pass. And eventually we will discover an inner calm, an inner depth, the consciousness of, our good friend Shiva, who can sit quietly while Kali dances all around Shiva with skulls and knives and spitting fire and bringing up all this type of thing. And sometimes Kali can shift gears and move into a seductive role, a mental illness role, your world is falling apart role. I'm going to take all your money and your finances away role. Kali can do all kinds of things to us. But our job is to sit like Shiva, serenely, watching these storms pass. Watching them pass. I was out hunting a couple weeks ago, and I'm way up in the mountains at 10,000 feet, and all of a sudden I saw these big storms roll in. So I got back to my truck, and I went back to my campsite, and I got in my van. It's kind of set up as a little RV. And I hunkered down, and I let the storm pass. But there was two young boys who were, in a similar part of Colorado as I was. And when the storm came, they went out and they actually came back to their truck. So they came back to a place of sanity. They changed their clothes, got out of their wet clothes, put on dry clothes, and went out into the storm again. And then they were found a couple of days later, deceased. Their bodies were found. They didn't make it. Of course, this is heartbreaking, but for a lot of us on the spiritual path, we do this. We kind of go back to our sanity. We take a couple deep, quiet breaths, and then we go out into the storms of our mind again. And we get lost in the chaos and the confusion. And sometimes a whole decade will go by before we come back to this peace. On the spiritual path, we continually have to come back to the peace and stay rooted in the peace and sit down and take our seat in the peace. Peace doesn't mean that the storm stops. Peace means that you set your anchor deep in your heart, deep in your belly. And we begin to breathe and we stay here. And so I'm going to invite us right now to shut down our eyes and just to gently reflect. What are some of the storms that I have faced on the spiritual path. And whether it's a storm of addiction, it's a storm of craving and chasing, whether it's a storm of I'm not good enough, or fighting or wanting our mother, our father, our sister, our brother to be different, or fighting with what they said or how they treat us, or fighting politically with our neighbors, or fighting online. Some of us, we fight with our inner child and our critic. And so the critical part is judging, attacking the tender, childlike part within us. Maybe we've ignored the childlike part and we've just gone into some kind of harsh aspect of our psyche. Whatever it is, I invite you to find your fight, your struggle. And I want you to look at that fight. And I want you to see what it has done for you. Like when we fight with ourselves, often we feel worn out, we feel exhausted, we feel fatigued, we feel beat up, we feel discouraged. Some of us, if we fought long and hard, we can feel really bitter. Some of us can have that racing feeling of the ground falling out from under us and not really having any anchor, any inner stability. It might be swirls of chaos and confusion, whatever it is. You get the idea. We're just going to look and see, what is the thing that has driven me to the point of being delusional, the point of going crazy, the point of being mad? And can I take a deep breath? And can I surrender the fight? Can I surrender the struggle? Sometimes our mind is so busy just trying to figure out, just trying to figure something out. Is this the right person for me? Is this the right friend? Is this really my family? Is this really my tribe? Whatever it is this really my home? I want you to see the fight before you. And instead of continuing to fight, I'm going to invite you to turn around and to walk in the direction of your heart. Walk in the direction of your hara. Reconnecting. Re-anchoring to this quiet peace and this gentle, innocent love within. And breathing in and breathing out. And anchoring here. Saying a gentle no, a gentle goodbye. A gentle adios to the pain, to the addiction, to the confusion. And with every breath, anchoring to the quiet goodness of the heart. The gentle strength and nobility of the hara. So putting down whatever it is, whether it's grasping, whether it's aversion, whether it's fear, putting it down and turning inward. And drinking this quiet, noble cup of sanity, this gentle, noble love. With every breath, deepening here. Deepening here. Allowing your consciousness to be nourished in peace, in stillness. Now, for some of you in this room, in this space with very active Kundalini, for some of you, this Kundalini Shakti is intoxicating. It's overwhelming. It's dramatic. It's big. It's flowing throughout the body, so it's loud. And if that's you, I invite you to feel the space in which the energy is arising. The same can be said if we have loud emotions, to notice the space in which the loud emotion arises. If you have persistent thoughts, notice the space in which thought arises. And part of walking away from the fight is being more interested in the peace than what's happening on the battlefield. More interested in the sky, the spaciousness of the room. And as we put down the fight, you may notice all kinds of energy running, flowing, unraveling. Might be voices or imagery, spitting fire, whatever it is. We focus on the peace, the spaciousness, the space in which the drama unfolds. Very similar if you are at a play, watching the stage, and then all of a sudden you look beyond the stage. You notice the space in which the actors, the action, the drama, the music, the sound, the feeling arises. And we're noticing that this space is absolutely sane, absolutely silent. There is a quiet nobility behind everything. Quiet nobility holding all of life, all of our experience. And if we are going to be sane, on this spiritual path, if we're going to be free, if we're going to be goddesses, yogis, Buddhas, we must be rooted in peace. knowing that the very fabric of our nature is quietude. The very fabric of our nature is vast, spacious peace. The very fabric of our nature is Shiva consciousness. And so as we become more deeply and fully rooted in peace, I want you to gently scan the body. Just noticing, is there anything you're still unconsciously holding on to? And can you let it go? Can you let it empty? Can you put whatever unconscious forces of fighting, whatever those may be that you have within you, can you put them down? With every exhale, put down the sword, put down the fight. We allow ourselves to return to peace. To return to quietude. Knowing and trusting in your innate goodness. Knowing and trusting in your innate divinity. And gently smiling at any aspects of your humanity that get lost, that get inflamed or infatuated or discouraged or bitter. Just gently smile and breathe a sweet sense of love and compassion in their direction. Just sending those parts of ourselves some love, some sweetness, some perspective. And it's okay. It's okay to be human. It's also okay to be free. Our freedom is the truth of what we are, the depth of what we are. And on the spiritual path, we consciously choose to be the truth, to be the depth, to allow the surface waves and ripples to pass, to move, to unwind without getting lost in them. And so this is the great challenge of incarnation, anchoring in our depth, our quiet, noble, innate goodness. All the waves crash and eventually fall into peace, into quietude, into stillness. And so we're going to gently open our eyes and